Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We are on to part 3 of my secondhand book haul. Okay, so I'm just gonna dive right in because I still have a lot to show you from the previous ones that I've already shown you, and this is a problem. The first book that I have to show you is The Moral Animal: Why We Are the Way We Are, The New Science of Evolutionary Psychology, and this is by Robert Wright. It sounds really interesting to me. The back of it asks questions like, is monogamy natural for men, for women? Where does sibling rivalry come from? Why do parents favor some children over others? What evolutionary advantages might come from having low self-esteem, things like that. It sounded really interesting to me, so I'm definitely looking forward to picking this one up in the near future. The next one that I got is Kids Who Kill, and this is by Mike Huckabee, and this is interesting to me. As you guys know, I'm about to graduate with my master's in criminal justice, so things like this are very intriguing. I didn't need much motivation to buy this one. Then I picked up another one that's kind of out of my comfort zone, which is an adult contemporary, I think, and it's called The Secret Between Us by Barbara Delinsky. I think this deals with like family issues and things of that nature. It's not something that I typically would read, but I decided to pick it up and give it a shot. Then I have 2 Titanic books. This one is Exploring the Titanic by Robert D. Ballard, How the Greatest Ship Ever Lost Was Found, and it has some really cool pictures of the Titanic, and just, it seems kind of like it's directed towards kids a little bit, like with the font size and everything is kind of large, but there's a good image. I mean, it's sad, but it's still interesting to me how everything went down and how everything happened, but it has a bunch of different images and maps of the ship and things like that that I find to be very interesting. So definitely excited to add this to my little Titanic collection I've got going. Speaking of Titanic, this one I'm extremely excited for, and it is called Titanic Voices: Memories from the Fateful Voyage, and this is by several different authors, but it's a ex-library copy, which I'm not too like peeved about because it has kept it in really, really good condition. And I really like this book a lot. It's got so much detail. Like, it's got stuff about the investigation that occurred after the Titanic sank. It's got information about like the crew members and things of that nature, and just stuff that I don't know about because I haven't read a whole lot about the Titanic, but it's interesting. It's very tension grabbing because it has like pictures of letters and things that were found or sent or whatever from the Titanic, and it's very, very cool. I can't wait to dive into this one. Then one of my book buddies was getting rid of some Goosebumps books, so I picked those up because, you know, I love me some Goosebumps. I got Legend of the Lost Legend, Say Cheese and Die, a personal favorite. And then I got some Horrorland ones, and I don't remember reading these as a kid, but I still had to have them. This one is Say Cheese and Die Screaming, and this one is Revenge of the Living Dummy. So very, very awesome to have these. I love me some Goosebumps books. Next I have Songs in Ordinary Time by Mary McGarry Morris, and this is a Oprah book club pick. I don't know too much about this. I think it's just a historical fiction. I'm not like really big on Oprah's book club picks. I've read some of them, like Middlesex is good. I need to reread that though. But I'm not like too big on them, although I will give them a chance. So this book was fairly inexpensive, and I just figured I'd give it a shot and see how I like it. Not all of the books that she picks out are horrible. I'm also trying to collect Roald Dahl's books, and specifically in, you know, the edition that looks like this one. This is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Not my all-time favorite by him. My all-time favorite is obviously Matilda, but I still want to collect them, and there's a lot that I haven't read by him, so I'm very excited to be picking these up. Then I have Judging a Book by Its Lover, A Field Guide to the Hearts and Minds of Readers Everywhere by Lauren Aletto, and this book, just the cover pretty much sold me. It just seemed really interesting because it's a book about books, and you can't pass those up. If you're like me, you know, when you see a book about books, it's something you need to have. And I picked up Night by Eli Wiesel, I believe, and this book seems to be getting a lot of hype lately. I'm not quite sure why, but it deals with, I think it deals with Nazi Germany, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But it's really, really short, and it seems interesting enough because I've got so many different varieties of things that I'm interested in, if you guys haven't noticed. Nazi Germany is really one of those things that interest me for some odd reason, so I'm very excited to read this one. Next I picked up Girl Interrupted by Susanna Kaysen. I've seen the movie. I love the movie. And I can't remember if I've read the book, to be quite honest with you. I don't think that I have. I think the book that I'm thinking about is White Oleander, which I read and didn't like. But I'm really interested to see if I like this better than the movie, because I really liked the movie. And I picked up some more classics. This one is The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. Never heard of it, don't know much about it at all, and I don't know why I bought it, except for that it was cheap and that it's a classic and I need to read more classics. So why not add more classics to my classics collection to taunt me? And then I picked up Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. I read this way back in the day when I was like in middle school. And it's been a long time, obviously, since I've read it. So I really wanted to own a copy so that I can read it again because it's been so long. But I do remember enjoying it. And I was quite young when I read it. So I think if I read it back then, I can get through it now. Next, I picked up Us by David Nichols. And this book sounded really interesting. And it's in like new condition. And this deals with like relationships and things like that. And it's an adult fiction. I don't know, I'm just trying to get more into other categories of books, and this one sounded pretty good in my opinion. So I'm really willing to give this one a shot and see how I like it. The next one that I got is, I think that I got it as a freebie, and it's called The Magician's Assistant by Anne Pratchett. I just got it because it was a freebie and it sounded interesting enough, and I like books about magicians and things like that, so it looks really cute. Then I picked up The Dante Club by Matthew Pearl. This one intrigued me because it references Dante's Inferno, and I really like Dante's Inferno, so I definitely had to pick this one up. It deals with murders that are inspired by scenes from Dante's Inferno, so that sounds pretty cool to me. I mean, in a morbid way, but it sounds interesting. And I picked up The Wedding by Nicholas Sparks. This is like a sequel to The Notebook, and I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of people say that this book is their favorite book by Nicholas Sparks, so that made me want to pick it up because all in all, I'm not like a huge fan of Nicholas Sparks, but this one sounded pretty good, and based on what people are saying about it, I think it's worth the read. Then I picked up this really good copy of Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen, and I love Water for Elephants. It's probably one of my favorite books of all time. And I only owned the mass market paperback of this book, so I really wanted to get a good copy that was in a lot better shape than the one that I had because it's kind of like torn apart because I love it so much. So I'm really happy that I have this now. I would prefer a hardcover. I know that's probably going to be hard to come by right now, so I'm going to settle for this one because it's in pretty good shape. The next one that I picked up is another historical fiction, and this one is called The Book of Fires by Jane Borrowdale. And this deals with, I think it takes place in like the 1700s, and there's a woman that has like a pregnancy that she's trying to hide because it's frowned upon and she's not married, things of that nature, and she meets someone and they become friends. That's pretty much all I know about it, but it sounds interesting to me considering the time that it took place in and things like that. I'm very interested in this. I also picked up Double Take, a memoir by Kevin Michael Connolly, and this book sold me when I read the synopsis because it's about a 23-year-old man who was born without legs, and basically what he does is he goes around all these different countries and he tries to take pictures of people staring at him, you know, because he's kind of like this curiosity. He wants to take pictures of how people react to him, and I think that that's really awesome. I mean, I can understand why it would be upsetting to get the looks and the stares that he probably did and still does. But I wanted to read about it because it sounds really interesting to me and very different from anything I've ever seen before. So I'm very excited to read this one. Alright, I've got a few more to show you and then I'll be done with this part, and then I'm probably going to have to do another video later. So I got The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simmons, and I've heard a lot of good things from Little Book Owl about this book series. So I've been kind of intrigued to read it ever since she talked about it, and it's been a while since she talked about it, probably over a year ago, but I've always been interested in it. So I came across this really good hardcover edition and decided to pick it up. And the same goes for this one, which is Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. I wasn't like set on reading this book, although there's a lot of hype around it and a lot of people say it's really good. It's not something that I would typically read, but this is a hardcover in like new condition that I found used for really cheap. And so I decided to snatch it up and see if I like it because there is so much buzz about it and people say how good it is, so I want to give it a try and see how I like it. I don't read a lot of books that deal with like wars and things like that. It's not really something that I generally gravitate towards, so hopefully I will enjoy it. To add to my classics, I picked up the complete Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales, and this is the complete volume. It has all of them. This is a ex-library book, and it has a little note from someone's aunt from Easter of 1999, which I think is really cool. I've never read all of the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales, so I really want to try to read this in bits and pieces, of course, because this thing is massive, but how cool is this edition? I picked up At the Water's Edge by Sarah Gruen, the same lady who wrote Water for Elephants. This is a new release by her, but I found it used for really cheap. So I decided to pick it up because I really like Water for Elephants so much that this is something that I definitely want to read very, very soon. You guys might have already seen this if you follow me on Instagram. I do post pictures on there a lot of books that I've received or purchased. So if you haven't checked out my Instagram, definitely check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. And the last two that I'm going to show you for this one are some really, really old editions of some books that I had growing up as a child. I don't know what happened to them, but these are pretty much the exact same editions that I had when I was a kid. This one I remember specifically, Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain, and the one that I had was really beat up and like falling apart. But this one's in really good condition. The binding is held together really well. And I'm not quite sure the date on these. They don't have like a publishing date on them, so I don't know exactly how old they are. But I was born in the 80s, so I mean, they're kind of old. So I'm excited to have this one, and then I also have Heidi by Johanna Spyri. I could be butchering her name, but I have never read Heidi. So I remember having this, but I don't remember reading it. This was the only one that I remember actually reading. So I'm excited to add this one to my collection of my classics, and hopefully I will get to Heidi very, very soon because I haven't read it yet, and I know that it's supposed to be a really, really good book. So that's it for my third installment of my secondhand book haul. You guys, this is a problem. I need to fix this by reading all the books. So let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and which ones you think I should start with, because there's so many to choose from that my head's gonna explode because I don't know which ones to go for first. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that maybe you found some books that you might want to add to your TBR, and you might hate me for it later, but that's okay. So I guess I will see you for my fourth installment of this secondhand book haul later on. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.